Today we're talking about connecting with God, and we're going to talk about the Lord's Prayer. The Lord's Prayer. This is a prayer of connection. 2 Chronicles 15:5, this is how the verse went. During those dark times, it was not safe to travel. Problems troubled the nation on every hand. Have you felt like the world is piling up around you? Have you felt like just stuff is just piling down on you, keeps crumbling down around you, and you don't know how to get through sometimes? I'm having one of those days right now. I'm just being real with you. I'm no different than any of the rest of you. I'm just as human. I have my flaws, I have my faults, I have my struggles, and so do you. And God knows what those are. And He has some help for you. And I've talked about this over the last several months now. Instead of running from God when we have troubles, He really wants us to run to Him. And what we tend to do is we think God is the principal in the office and we're getting called to the office so we can be scolded, but that's not the truth. He wants us to come to the office so He can encourage us, lift us up, remind us of the truth, and send us out into the land of giants without any fear. Go do it. I've got you covered. And if we think that He's ready to punish us, we're not going to go running to Him. But if we know that He's ready to lift us up and reward us and award us and strengthen us, we're going to be more encouraged to go then. Instead of running from God, we need to learn to run to God in the difficult times. Here's what it says in 2 Chronicles 15:2-5. Listen, all you people, the Lord will stay with you as long as you stay with Him. Whenever you seek Him, you will find Him. But if you abandon Him, He will abandon you. For a long time, Israel was without the true God and without God's law. But in their distress, they turned to the Lord and sought Him, and He was found by them. I want to qualify this. This is Old Testament stuff, and even then, God encouraged. Now, God says He's with you always. Okay? If you're feeling far from God, there's only one person who moved. You've distanced yourself. And what's changed is not the relationship. God is still Dad. You're still His child. What has changed is your fellowship with God. If you're having a feeling of being distanced from God, it's because you've walked away and the fellowship has changed. But listen to how God wanted them to handle it. The first antidote to national recession was this: connect with God. Tune in to God. Do you know that right here on this deck, and almost anywhere in this town that I know of, and most places in the United States, and most places around the world that are populated with people, there are hundreds of songs playing in the air right now. Did you know that? Right now, right here, there are hundreds of songs playing in this air. And I could prove it to you if I had a radio. And I tuned into each station and each frequency and each signal. I could tune into that signal and I could play those hundreds of songs for you. What I'm trying to get at is this: if you tune into what God's doing in your life, you're going to be able to hear and experience God. If you take the time to seek God and say, God, I'm looking for direction. I want to connect. If you don't want to connect, God will say, that's fine. Go ahead and do it. You have it your way. I'm working on a song that talks about that too. I can see you don't realize you're mine. We're going to work on that. This is how you should pray. This is how they were taught. Our Father in heaven, hallowed be your name. Check this out. Here's your first, after connect with God, your first blank. God is a person, not a power. God is a person, not a power. Our Father, Dad. What we've got to first understand is that God is a person, not a power. He's not an iron-fisted ruler who's ready to beat you down at every beck and call. Every time you mess up, that's not God. We can have a deep relationship with a person. We can't have deep relationships with power or force. When we relate to God as a loving Father, our stress levels go down and our peace of mind increases. When we get tuned in to God and what He's doing, He'll remind us of the eternal view of things. He'll remind you that you're loved in spite of what your circumstances say. He'll remind you that you already are saved, have been saved by the death of His Son, in spite of what your actions look like, and sometimes your words. If you're trying to earn worth in this world through what you do, I can give you one clue that's helped me. Give up. You can't earn it. It's a free gift of God, so that no man may boast. Not my words, God's. We can connect with God because of this. Number one, He's a caring Father. He's not an abusive Father. How many of us, don't put your hands in the air, besides me, I've had one of those. Abusive fathers, they say they love you. Sometimes. I don't think I heard the word I love you from my dad until I was 21. I don't think I ever heard it. And then when I heard it, it was in counseling sessions, because one of my brothers was going through some serious hard times. And they made us stand face to face and made my dad tell me he loved me. And you know what? I really had a hard time believing it. I really did. And I'm not condemning my dad. He did the best he knew. He did what he knew, and he did what his parents taught him. And you know what? I was just as much a victim of that when I had children to deal with. And I still am sometimes. Sometimes I'm rather heartless. But I ask God to work with that too. 1 Peter 5:7 says this, cast all your anxiety on Him, because He cares for you. He cares for you. He doesn't just say He cares for you. There's a lot more to be said about actions than there are words, aren't there? See, the problem I had with loving my dad or feeling His love was that I never saw it. I heard it, but I never saw it. I never saw it. Number two, He is a consistent Father. He's consistent. He's always going to be there. He's never going to leave you or forsake you. He's always going to work all things for your good. How many things? All things. How often? Always. He'll never, that's a long time too, leave you or forsake you. He has a plan for your life. If you tune in, He'll show you His plan one step at a time. James 1:17, every good and perfect gift is from above. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of the heavenly lights, who does not change like shifting shadows. He doesn't do that. He is the light. You know there's no shadows when the light is all surrounding you? You want to do a neat study, look in Genesis sometime and find out that God created light. This is really cool, I love this. God created the light, and then He broke up the light with darkness, and then He created the sun and the stars and the planets after He created the light and the darkness. See, we have a hard time fathoming that because the light comes from the sun. But the sun wasn't even created yet. God said He created the light. He said, let there be light, there was light. Let's break up the light with some darkness. And then He created the sun and the stars and the planets. It's a neat study, check it out.